You're listening to the Absolutely Cosmic Podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Absolutely Cosmic Podcast, where we talk anything self-improvement from the nerdy perspective. I'm your host, Joshua Salgado, and today we're going to be discussing a very important topic that I don't think is discussed enough. And this topic helps guide our youth, the young generation coming into the world and society. Is college a scam? Is university a scam? And stay tuned till the end to understand my full perspective on why I believe, depending on who you are and what you are going for in life, college is definitely a scam. And here's why. If you don't know what you want to do out of high school, let's say, you don't know where you want to go, you don't know what occupation you want, that's probably the biggest red flag, because you're probably going to change 3 times when you go to school. You're going to be in university taking classes that aren't going to prepare you to that next step of getting an occupation. Additionally, if you're uncertain on what you want, there's other things that you can be doing that are going to still build you the resume, quote unquote. And we're going to get into why I believe the resume is should be changing, especially with all this AI stuff, with all this ability to learn immensely on the internet. And we'll get into that. But, working, volunteering, interning, doing odd jobs here and there will give you life experiences as well as professional experience in the soft skills of teamwork, leadership, management, socialization, work-life balance. And then I think there's other perspectives that I think are kind of minimized when you're at that 18-year-old age, such as fitness, such as self-literacy, self-education. So meaning I read books, right? I teach myself new skills, having hobbies, having healthy relationships, right? I think a lot of those things are minimized, right, as important things to develop, and we rush young individuals to go to school right away. And again, if you know what you want and you need college to get there, and that's the next segment, if you need college to get there, then go for it. Go straight out of school, go to the big school that you want to. But understanding that going to school, unless you're a military veteran or a dependent or somebody that has that ability to fund their own school through benefits, right? Because there's different occupations that can do that. You're going to be going into debt and damaging yourself. You're going to be taking out loans, right, that appreciate with interest rates. And if you don't have a plan on how you're going to conquer that with your occupation, around the idea of income that you want and how you're going to live outside of school, right? I don't mean while you're in college, but I mean after college, post college. If you don't have a clear understanding of that, and I don't expect any 18-year-old to have that, because that is a lot of understanding. First of all, the education system does not teach us anything about interest rate, anything about mortgages, anything about finance, anything about again, healthy relationships, fitness, understanding soft skills like teamwork and leadership, and understanding basic management skills. Those things, our public education system does not teach us that. Our public education system does not teach us how to write a check. Our public education system doesn't teach us that the higher the interest rate on whatever money you're given, right, is a bad thing, right? The public education system doesn't teach us about credit scores, and that's for a reason. Right? Call me, tinfoil hat Joe Rogan experience, right? Call me that. But the reality is, that's the truth, is they want people to be less educated, so that's how these large scale finance companies and banks make their money, right? That's how people who are selling these large ticket items such as college, houses, cars, credit cards are making their money, because people don't understand how to utilize them and leverage them as a tool or avoid them in general, right? So let's come back. If you don't know what you want and a big investment in yourself, right, monetarily, right? I mean, even a community college could be up to $60,000. Or, I mean, that's a cheap state school, very cheap state school for maybe 2-year associate's degree or a community college. But if you go up to 4 years, you're probably going to be paying over $60,000 in debt potentially, unless you're a D1 athlete, valedictorian of high school with a lot of scholarships or something, or you're in the military or something along those lines that you get benefits from that. So again, like, as a student who you may not know what you want to do in high school, right? You may not know what you want to do for the rest of your life, and that's okay. Don't feel like you have to, but also don't commit to investing in yourself when you don't have a clear-cut plan. If I were to go with a business plan, to investors, I have had to have all my ducks in a row. I have to know exactly every single thing about my business, where I want it to go, who am I selling to. I have to have a very precision based output, right? I have to have all the information as much as possible, and then beyond that, right? I think the same goes if you're going to look at as an investment for school, right? You should have an outlook. And I think the best thing that a kid could do is take a year off, or maybe take some courses, maybe, and do something that's unconventional a little bit. Work, one season, out on the oil rig or a farm or whatever it is, right? Do something different, right? Or pursue your creative passions initially and just work full-time, part-time. You know what I mean? I think those are things, and at least for your first year, so you can get some semblance of what adult life is. Because from our youth, right, we've been force fed these ideas and these beliefs, right, of having to go to school, and we're going, constant. We're being told what to do, what to believe. And then as soon as you get out of school, right, is your first time of freedom. And I think the best time to learn that is maybe as you're learning to be a responsible adult with work, and with maybe potentially some bills, with potentially, being able to go out with your friends on a Friday night, kind of things like that, being able to start going to the gym a little bit more, like on your own schedule, right? And building kind of your own self-confidence, right? So that when it's time to go to school, right, go to formal education outside of high school, right, you're able to kind of be like, oh, you know what? I'm working right now in, at the pet store. I really like animals. Maybe I should go to work to be a vet tech or veterinarian, or a biologist or something like that, right? Kind of having an outlook on what you want out of life, right? And then understanding, like, if you live life and you have expenses and you're working, you're going to understand basic personal finance pretty fucking quick. I will guarantee you, because again, I was there where I had, $2 to my name, right? And I fucking couldn't, buy food or pay for gas, right? And I was struggling and just getting by the strand of hair, right? When I was younger, because I wasn't taught that from my family or school, right? So I learned on my own by my own failures when it comes to that. But again, you will learn that, right? If you take a year off and you just work, you'll learn that, oh shoot, payday isn't for another few weeks. Oh shoot, maybe I shouldn't be so paycheck to paycheck and build up that little nest, right? Oh shoot, I'm going to start watching videos on stocks, or high yield savings account to build up that emergency fund, or that little extra fund for my bills every month. I think those are important life skills that you should learn instead of just going straight to school and putting everything on a credit card or a loan, right? And again, that's just my piece on that, right? If you don't know what you want to do, I think there's a lot of things that you can learn that are extremely valuable on the other pillars of your life than formal education. Formal education is excellent. I think it opens your mind very, very largely, but I don't think that it's necessarily for everybody. But I also don't think that you should rush into it if you're not there yet. I think there's a lot of adult skills that you could learn that when you go to school and you have some of these skills, or at least the foundations of those skills, you're going to be a little bit better off. You're going to be able to, maybe guide your friends a little bit. You're going to be able to know where you can go about that. You might be able to now, every time you go into class in the morning, get that coffee and not be worried, financially, right? You might be able to, manage your time better. You might be able to take a leadership role in a club or sport, right? You might be able to understand basic management skills, so that when you work as a team, as a partner in class on a group project, you can kind of build those management skills as well as leadership skills. Again, those are soft skills that are extremely important in the real world, right? That school, filling out a worksheet, taking a test, writing an essay will not teach you. I do not care. That is the truth. You have to learn it by doing and suffering and making mistakes. And that's just the key to adult life. Again, I think college is not a scam if you're going to be like an engineer or a doctor, and you're dead set on it, and you know what it takes, and you're going to follow through, right? College isn't a scam, right? In those situations, right? If you want to go be a dentist, right? Not just medical, but anything that has a direct correlation of an occupation that is high income earning, higher than, that lower threshold, right? I think that is the most important piece. Again, uncertainty. Don't go to college. College is a scam at that point in your life. If you're uncertain who you are and what you want to be and where you want to go, right? I wouldn't get in a car and waste gas if I don't know where I'm going to go, right? I like to get to point A to B the most efficient, the best way possible, with the best, best way I can, right? To the best of my ability. So here's another thing. Trades in this day and age are just as good as college education. Some of these trade schools have formal education programs that are about a fraction of the cost to go to a conventional university with a big name or a state university, right? And they will teach you not only, fundamental skills for a occupation and future business potentially, or being extremely successful, but your team skills, your life skills, those soft skills are often learned in those blue collar trades a lot quicker. It's a lot more real world. You know what I mean? You're going to learn things, and it takes a very intelligent person to be excellent at a trade. I don't care what anybody says. People are like, oh, college dropouts or college dropouts, high school dropouts, the people that are dumb go to trades. No, because listen, I'll tell you something. The guy who fixes your car when it's broken down, he may not have gone to college, but he knows how to fix your car to get it running again, right? And you're paying probably a pretty fucking penny to that person, right? Again, that's just my piece, right? Again, here's another thing. Like, trades are so important because they build fundamental things in our society. They maintain, they build, they create, they innovate, right? Things that are functionally important to our society as a whole. Skyscrapers, bridges, boats, you name it, even from the small contracting to the big contracting, right? Blue collar jobs, trade jobs are important. And the thing is this, is when you go to a trade school, your return on investment is probably typically higher than a university. Because the thing is this, is I could go to a university and get a job that's not necessarily the highest paying job, right? But if I go to, let's say, trade school as a plumber, my buddy, he just finished electrician school. He's in the service with me, but he paid not that much, right? Comparatively to what he's going to make, within his first 5 years of being an electrician. And I think that is the key important value to understand, that just because on paper going to Harvard sounds excellent, right? Just because that's amazing, right? The name, the brand of Harvard, that doesn't mean that you necessarily need to go to be successful financially, spiritually, and physically, as we mentioned in other podcasts where there's other pillars to life, right? That college experience is, I think, overrated. I think, here's the thing. If you want to share a dorm room with a bunch of other dudes or a bunch of other girls in smelly, dirty bathrooms and have to, grind it, then join the fucking military. Because guess what? I'll tell you, in boot camp, we were with like 40 something other dudes in our flight, right? I had roommates throughout tech school. That's the key. And I was getting paid to go. I was learning a skill. I was earning benefits. I had healthcare. If you're going to go live at school on campus and you don't even know what you want to do, and then you go to school, now guess what? You're paying a high price to be able to go. Because not only are you paying a shit ton of money for the income that you probably don't make, or when you get out are not going to make comparatively, but that interest rate is just going to keep digging a hole for you. Right? And you don't want to be 70, 80 and still have student loans, right, over your head. So again, and here's the thing too. By taking a year off, understanding basic finances by working, doing the things that you need to do to build those skills, right? You'll understand that if interest rates are really high, right, or they're going to kind of kick your ass, right, then what you got to do is pay them off as soon as possible. And then what you're going to do outside of college, regardless of what job you pick, engineer, doctor, underwater basket weaver, you're going to be paying off those higher interest rates, those student loans faster, so that they're not making money off you as much as if you drag it out because you don't want to pay it, because you want to live a lush lifestyle. Dave Ramsey's, I think it's The Baby Steps to Heaven, is a definitely good place to start if you're in debt already, definitely. But I think if you think of student loans, like all the people that I see on the clips that I watch of Dave Ramsey and on his podcast and everything are people with a lot of student loans. And then during that, like college or shortly after, they get themselves into a shit ton of debt. And interest is ever appreciating. So then now you're going to be paying these financial institutions, maybe half sometimes of what you could have just saved or pocketed if you didn't spend that much on a credit card, if you didn't go to school and change your major 5 times and take 10 years to get a bachelor's degree. You know what I mean? And I'm not down talking anyone, but I'm trying to help warn the new generation that like this whole idea that you need to go to school to be successful is not true at all. And with the advent of internet and the ability to create a business and to learn how to do even trades work from the ground up, from watching YouTube, right? I could learn how to fix cars. I could learn how to detail cars. Maybe not your traditional trades work. I could learn how to edit videos and start making money off that, right? And then see, once you start making some income and then building your education, that foundational layer to make more income or to potentially grow that experience. But again, this is why I'm making this video, because I want to warn the young students who maybe don't have the finances to go and now they want to fund it with their own personal loans, or put family loans or whatever, right? Put loans in their family's name and things like that. Listen, if you have to do all that to be able to go to school, community colleges are just as good. And guess what? I live in Connecticut. For Connecticut, if you have, I forget, I think it's a 3.5 or higher, right? There is like the 5 basic programs, right? And pretty much every single major at this community college falls under that. Will transfer you out, automatic transfer student to a state university for whatever follow on. So you get your associate's degree too. And so you have to, when you're young like that, right? That's why taking a year off is great, because you're learning those skills. You also give your time to figure out what is the best way to get my bang for the buck, to get our ROI on college, right? Because that's the key. Is I want to go to college so that I can make a better income and have a decent job, right? But a lot of times that nowadays, right? Everyone's going to college. So college education, university education is so saturated in this world today that it really doesn't mean as much as it did maybe, before the 2000s, maybe before in the 70s and 80s, maybe before in the 60s, 1960s. You know what I mean? So again, I'm making this video because I genuinely care. And what I did, I didn't have the finances to go to school until I left for the military. And I'm in school right now for a communications major with an anthropology minor, because I want to learn. It's a film studies program. So essentially I will be getting a filmmaking degree and a communications degree in one, as well as an anthropology minor, which is really interesting to me. And again, I'm doing that because I'm getting paid to go to school. I have the benefits to be able to go to school. And what I want to do with my life, right, is cater around a communications focus. I found that and filmmaking, or making videos and content, is something that I enjoy aspirationally. Like, that is something that I have dreamed of and I love, and that is my passion, right? So when you take that time to figure out what your passion is, to build those basic life skills, and then understand what is the best avenue for you when it comes to getting that formal education. Now we're going to kind of segment further into resumes, because again, like I mentioned, college education is so saturated. University education is so saturated that if you were to apply for that entry level post education job, right? A lot of people are getting turned down right nowadays. It's very competitive right now for lower tier income career fields, right? Starting out at a lower, income, right? Starting out at a lower pay, but it's still competitive, right? It feels like you need 30 years of experience to work at McDonald's sometimes I mean, that's how I felt. I thought, being in the service, I would have been able to find something relatively decent, right? And it took me a very long time after that deployment to be able to find something that was stable and sustainable, right? So here's a key that I've learned recently in the past few months, right? First of all, resumes are bullshit. You need to understand that. Keywords. Okay, so if you're looking for a job, right? Go through and find the keywords, the buzzwords that they're looking for in those requirements and those job duties, and tailor your resume to that. Numbers. Again, put numbers in there. Numbers look good, regardless if it's just 2 or 100,000, whatever it is, right? Put numbers in there. There's just something about it that sounds professional. It sounds excellent. You know what I mean? And then here's my tip. So a lot of people, my girlfriend actually struggled with this because she was trying to find a internship that was paid for the longest time. And they're so competitive in her degree, marine biology. So what she did was just kept looking, and she eventually found one. Now, here's the thing. I'm in a communications major. A lot of the internships are really just entry-level jobs, right? You need your communications degree to kind of get a job. At least where I am in New England, it's very competitive, right? So what did I do? I decided, I'm like, you know what? Why don't I combine the two things? I've always wanted to have a business, right? And I had this business idea. And I was like, I like to create content, right? Let's keep it on that side, on the right side. I like to create content, but then I do need an internship. I do need that experience to set me apart from the rest of my populace that are communications and similar, vein degrees, right? Similar degrees, right? So what I did is I merged the two. I created my own internship that is flexible on my time, that allows me to truly learn skills. It allows me to fail without any worry of reprimand or retribution or getting fired or kicked out or messing something up, right? I have the opportunity to potentially make a little bit of income. I have the opportunity to build something larger than myself potentially, right? I have the opportunity to learn skills and organize my thoughts and ideas and create things that would normally take someone years of experience, right? If they were to work in that traditional route and be taught by someone else. But because I chose the self-education route, I am able to fail. I am able to learn whatever it is. I am able to be creative. It is flexible on my schedule with all my work and being in the service and school, right? It is flexible. And what is that? That is content creation. That is the Cosmic Absolute t-shirt website, right? That is everything that I'm doing here, right? That is what you guys don't necessarily see, but what the procedures and systems and workflows that I'm building and notating from behind the scenes, from a little bit of a business management level, to be able to, if the opportunity arises, to pass on that torch to somebody else, or to be able to help bring someone onto the team and help them understand how our operations started, how they evolved, and how they are going to be in the outlook on that, right? So I've been able to create my own opportunity. I have created my own internship. I have created my own occupation, right? That will give me the experience to go further. I have created several pieces of content that, when you break it down and repurpose it utilizing AI assets, right? Those AI assets repurpose a long form video like this. And then I distribute between 14 different platforms to be able to have the maximum surface area of content on social media so that I can market my business and my content message out to the general public with the most opportunity for people to view, right? All the while, I am learning new content and communication techniques to be able to become a better, more articulate, more efficient, and more lethal content creator and communicator, as well as business entrepreneur. So you saw all that kind of flashy verbiage that I just spit out. Imagine taking that, writing that down, and putting that into a resume. Just because you decided one night that you were going to pursue your project, your a little idea that you wanted to get into, you know what I mean? Something that, and it doesn't have to be content creation though. That's the beauty of it. Okay, for my girlfriend, she's a marine bio major. What if she decided to start a large saltwater tank, mimicking a certain specific habitat, right, an environment for a certain specific species, right, and try to breed or try to document? Maybe she does create content, or maybe she does videotape or log it or write things down. Maybe she creates a scientific log of the behaviors and the requirements, right? She documents all the pH and environmental factors that keys into, right? That in itself is an internship that you would learn. It would require you to research. It would require you to problem solve, right? It would require all these things that these employers are looking for. And here's the reality is that if you do that, right? And like for me, creating content, this is what I would love to do long term. So when this works out, that's going to be excellent, right? That's going to be excellent when we're at the top of the, podcast world. We're at the top of the YouTube world. We're creating content. We're providing a message that is valuable and hopefully can help people, right? But at the worst case scenario, I can take all this that I did here, write it down really nice and fancy, tailor it to whatever job that I would like to apply for. And now I have an additional set of experience on top of all the jobs that I'm doing, on top of being in the service, on top of my degree. Regardless if I get a master's, I already have experience. So you have somebody who is going to school and just doing whatever it is, right? But now I'm going to school and I have experience and I have additional outside world experiences that give me a wider perspective of how things operate in the real world. Again, that is why I believe, and this is, I believe, the unconventional way to get ahead is by creating your own internships and creating your own opportunity to be able to grow and get those jobs potentially that you want, but it may also reward you in what you're looking to do with your life. So maybe instead of going to school right away, if you don't know what you want to do, creating your own opportunity early on before school starts in something that you're kind of interested in, a hobby or a passion, right? Or maybe an occupation you'd like to go down. And then guess what? When you go to school, you're already going to start building experiences. You're already going to be starting to network. You're already going to be able to relate to whatever it is that you're learning, right? That is my piece. And that is why I believe college is a scam if you don't know what you want, because it will jack you up financially and it may lead to a life where you may not be able to make the income that you want or get the job that you necessarily want. So my personal view is that if you're going to go to school, find a way to reduce how much it costs. Find a way to get the most ROI, the most out of the most value or the most product and service out of your education, right? Consider trade schools, I think, are above education because now you have to learn an art and a science mixed into two within a certain period of time at a baseline level, right? It's not for dumb people. Trades are not for dumb people in any scope. And then I think when you create that opportunity, if you're in a trade school, right, you're going for carpentry, right, or you're going for automotive and you have a project car on the side, right, see what I'm saying, right? You're building experience that you can put into that resume that honestly I believe resume and cover letters don't mean shit. They don't matter, okay? And I'm saying this as potentially a future, trying hopefully one day to grow this podcast, right? I'm going to try to do different things unconventionally. I want to give people opportunities based on who they are, their traits and work characteristics and ethics, not based on necessarily their experience. And that can't go for every trade because you can't necessarily just look at their ethic and beliefs and morals as a doctor, right? You need to go to school. And again, that's just relating my piece on the idea that college is a scam. In certain perspectives, it is. Think of it more as a tool than it is a need. Think of it more as a tool. When you think of it as a tool to leverage for your future success and income and your future opportunities, then yes, it is important in certain aspects, but trade schools are just as important. Maybe being in the workforce is just as important. So again, this was episode 9 on Is College a Scam of the Absolutely Cosmic podcast. And I am your host, Joshua Salgado. I want to thank you guys for listening so much today. This was a topic that I've wanted to discuss for a little bit. And I think is very, very, very important. And I think we should be recalibrating how we view and how we treat the youth coming out of public education, because as it is, public education does not teach them the quality things. They are teaching them a lot of shitty stuff, and they're not teaching them how to be adults and how to actually really check and see if you're going to have an ROI in different aspects and pillar of your life when it comes to college. Again, thank you for listening. If you do like content like this, if you have any feedback, whatever platform you're on, hit down below. Again, we're on 14 different platforms and we're looking to grow. Thank you very much. Peace, guys.
Thank you for listening. Consider absolutely smashing the subscribe button for more content like this.